Yo, what's up? We're back with more Kaiju number 8, the game. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a video on the new Kikoru. I'll be trying out 4 different Uniparts to see which one is going to be the best for her. My Kikoru is level 100, and I do have a weapon at level 70. Her skill is at 5, 7, and 7. Now, the Uniparts that I'm going to be testing on her is going to be 4 Uniparts, 2 of which aims to get her damage higher, and the other 2 is mostly for support. So the first Unipart I'm going to be going over is going to be the new Unipart, Armored-type Unipart, that gives her blunt damage dealt plus 20%, attack plus 29%, and when the equipped unit activates ultimate, it increases the damage dealt by 10%, maximum 3 stacks. Here are the substats. I have her on attack percent, effect hit rate, because she does scale with effect hit rate as well. And for the boots, I'm either going to go for speed or blunt. And for the content I'm going to be showcasing her in is going to be this one, new chapter event on the very hard stage. We're not going to be focusing too much on the score. What we are going to be focusing on is going to be her damage and also how good it feels to use that particular Unipart, right? This is going to be my team. Right now we have the Armored-type Unipart on her, and we'll compare her damage with Reno and also Kaiju number 8 to see if maybe she can be on par with them. We won't be comparing her damage to Hoshina because Hoshina is the best DPS right now, and her main goal is not really to do flashy numbers, right? Good thing about this new Kikoru is that as the battle starts, you already get her ultimate turn 1 because one of her passive gives her 300% ult gauge at the start of battle, and she's already doing 10,000 damage. Now keep in mind that 10,000 damage is also boosted by Reno, because Reno's passive does trigger your allies to do additional ice damage. Let's take a look at Hoshina's damage. She did 10,000 just now, Hoshina did 14,000. So that's pretty good, I would say. It is her ultimate, but you can sort of chuck her ultimate as like a combat skill because of how fast she can get it, right? She gets her ultimate every 2 turns, even with the DPS set. And her combat skill did 7,000 on 3 enemies. Reno is going to do, let's see here, if he crits, he should do about the same. He doesn't crit. Now, I already showed you on my older videos that defense break doesn't really help you out that much. If the enemy has really high defense, it could be useful, but for now, defense break doesn't really add up more than 5% of your damage. Just using the combat skill once already got my ult gauge to more than half. So now I can just use the skill 1 and she will get the ultimate once again. Now there is going to be one turn where she instantly gets her ultimate on just one turn if you can do a follow-up attack. So if you do a combat skill with her and then you do a follow-up skill or you break the plate, you'll be able to get her ultimate in one turn. Alright, so right here we can go ahead and use the combat skill, and then my Reno is going to break the plate on the boss and she will get her ultimate right there. Alright, Reno breaks the plate and then she will follow up and get 60 ult gauge from the follow-up skill times 2, right? Because she gets 100% ult gauge rate from her ultimate. So there we go, we got her ultimate. We can go ahead and ult with everyone as well. Now she is getting stronger every single time she uses her ultimate because of the Unipart. So she did 11,000 just now. Kaiju number 8 is doing 21,000 with a crit. Now keep in mind, Kikoru cannot crit with her ultimate, but she can crit with her combat skill. Although it's not wise for you to go for crit rate or crit damage build with the new Kikoru because her ultimate and follow-up skill cannot crit because it's pen damage, right? Pen damage ignores defense, but at the same time it cannot crit. That's the downside of it. So even with the DPS set, as long as you alternate between combat skill and skill 1, you will get her ultimate within 2 turns. Or if you do a follow-up skill when you use her combat skill, then you'll get her ultimate within 1 turn. Alright, this might be my new high score because the round count is only 5 rounds when we defeat the boss. This should be another ultimate on her part. Yeah, there we go. Let's take a look at her damage. She is ignoring defense. Let's see. 15,000, not bad. Hey, that's pretty good. Okay, this should kill. So her damage was between 10,000 to 15,000 with the ultimate, and the combat skill did around 7,000 when it's full AoE. And we got a score of 274,000. Not bad. Alright, let's go over the next Unipart. I got extremely lucky when rolling for the Spider-type Unipart. I got the legendary piece for armor and boots within a couple of tries. But to keep it fair, I'm going to be using the 4-star bonus for the effects. So I have her on attack, effect hit rate, and blunt damage now instead of speed. And I'm going to be using the same team. Again, this set is going to be aiming to get her damage higher. Now, if this set still cannot beat the new Armored-type Unipart, despite having 2 legendary pieces, then you know which one to go for. But there is another thing with this set is that it gives you effect hit rate, which will make your debuffs more reliable, right? She has a 65% chance to apply it. Okay, so turn 1 she did 12,000. Roughly about 1,000 more damage, which again is not really that high because I have 2 legendary Uniparts on her, right? And I also have the boots on blunt damage as well. Whereas the armored type Unipart, I had her on speed. Alright, let's take a look at her combat skill. She did 6,000. Now it's doing 7,000. So I would say it's not really worth the increase. Especially since this set is only good for like the first couple of turns where you can't stack up the ultimate as fast as the other set. Because the other set gives you more damage dealt. The more you cast the ultimate, right? And she can get her ultimate very fast. Every couple of turns, she should get her ultimate. So she's gonna get the damage dealt up very quickly. Alright, so the second time she uses the ultimate, we did like 7,000 or 8,000 just now. Now she does 9,000. So it's just about 1,000 more damage as opposed to the other Unipart set. But using this set, her effect hit rate is at 80%, which is very high. Whereas if you were to use the other set, it will be around 50 to 60% effect hit rate. Alright, she should get the ultimate right here. That's a follow-up skill, giving her 60. And if I were to use a combat skill, that's going to be her ultimate. Okay, third time casting the ultimate, it does 12,000 now. Let's compare her damage to Reno's ult. Reno's ult also doesn't do the best of damage. So she does more damage than Reno's ult. That's actually pretty insane. Alright, this should be a kill. The round count is about the same, 5 rounds. So I think our score should also be roughly around the same score, 275,000. Yeah, roughly the same score, 274,000. Alright, as for the 2 DPS Uniparts, being Spider type and also the Armor type Unipart, I would say the Spider type Unipart is better. The damage is around the same even when you've stacked up fully with the Armor type Unipart. The difference between the two sets is going to be the effect hit rate. The effect hit rate not only makes you hit harder, but it also makes your debuff more consistent. You'll be able to land more debuffs throughout the fight. And when it comes to turn 1 damage, the Spider type Unipart is going to be better. So if you're struggling to choose whether to go for Armor type Unipart or Spider type Unipart, I would say this Spider type Unipart is going to be better. Alright, now let's go over to the Support type Unipart to see if it's going to be better on her or not. Alright, for the first Support type Unipart, I'm going to be using the Ant type Unipart. That gives her HP, out gauge charge rate 15%, and also effect resist. This one is going to be useless. I have her on attack percent, out gauge rate now instead of effect hit rate, and speed. I'm going to be using the same team. Now with this set, I don't particularly care what her damage is, but I want her to get the ultimate maybe within 1 turn. We'll see if it's enough out gauge rate where she can cast her combat skill once and then maybe be at like 100% out gauge rate. Alright, so turn 1 she gets her ultimate. Let's take a look at her damage, although it's probably going to be way less, maybe like 8,000. Yeah, almost 8,000. So she lost roughly 4,000 from either running the DPS set of the new armored type or the spider type. And her combat skill will do probably 4,000, 5,000 on 3 enemies, which is pretty bad. And she's not even at 100% out gauge. So this set right off the bat, I would say it's not worth it to run, because the additional out gauge that you get is not enough for you to 1 turn get her ultimate, right? If it was enough to get her ultimate on turn 1, where she just casts the combat skill and gets the ultimate, then I would say it's worth it. But since it's not enough, it's not worth it in my opinion. Because when it comes to this Ant-type Unipart, I would say it's only worth it to run for breakpoints. Like for example, if this new Kikoru costed 3 turns to get her ultimate, where you have to cast her combat skill once and then use her normal attack 2 times without this Unipart, and if you were to use this Unipart, then it will only cost you 2 turns, right? Combat skill and skill 1. Then I would say this Unipart is worth it. Otherwise, I would say this Unipart is not worth it at all, because you're not really breaking the breakpoints, right? It's still gonna cost you 2 turns for you to get the ultimate, regardless of how much out gauge rate that you get from the combat skill or the skill 1. So right here, she's gonna get the ultimate, but again, it's the same as if I were to run the DPS set, the armor type or the spider type, because she's gonna do a follow-up that gets her more than 100 out gauge charge. The follow-up skill gives you 60 alt gauge, and if you were to have the inheritance buff, that's gonna give you 120% minimum, right? Because it gives you 100% extra. So I would say this alt gauge rate is not worth it on her. It reduces the damage by a significant amount, almost a 30% to 40% decrease in her overall damage for pretty much nothing, right? You're still gonna get the ultimate within 2 turns, or 1 if you do a follow-up attack with your ally. And right there, I used the skill 1 on her, and it's not even at 50% of her alt gauge. So if I want to save up my SP by constantly using her S1, it's still not going to be enough for me to get the ultimate with 2 turns of casting her normal skill. Okay, we'll check right here if we can get her ultimate. If I use the skill 1 twice, it's not enough, as you can see. While she is mostly a utility type of unit, this set doesn't serve any purpose for her because you're not breaking any breakpoints. The score is about the same, 274,000. Alright, on to the next Unipart. I got extremely lucky when it comes to the rolls. All of this took 1 try. I think the middle piece took me a couple of tries, but these 2 pieces, the gloves and the boots, took me 1 try. So I'm gonna keep it. So this time around, we're gonna be using the Wyvern-type Unipart. Speed plus 8, effect resist, that's gonna be useless. And the effect is after activating combat skill, applies attack plus 10% for 1 turn to all allies. Her speed is at 111. If I were to use the speed boots, it would be roughly 118 or 120. Alright, let's go in. So this time she's gonna be more of a support role, not so much as a DPS. But since I got really lucky with the rolls, I think her damage is gonna be somewhat similar to the armored type Unipart that I have on her. So turn 1, I think she's gonna be doing roughly 11 to 12,000. Okay, it's still less than the armored type Unipart. So even with godly rolls, my damage is still subpar. But I mean, that is expected, right? Because I'm using the support Unipart on her. And when it comes to her combat skill, this should do roughly 5,000, yeah, 5,600. But also keep in mind, when I use this Unipart, she is also going to boost my entire team by 10% of the attack. When I use her combat skill, it's still going to be the same. She's going to get the ultimate within 2 turns. If I were to keep the cycle of combat skill and skill 1 every single cycle. So right now we can clearly see the best support type Unipart on her is going to be the speed one. The alt gauge one is definitely not going to be your choice because it's almost useless on her. You don't break any breakpoints. Whereas the Wyvern set, she has more speed and she can also give your entire team more buffs, right? 10% attack, or I think it's 15% attack if you have it full legendary gear. Alright, so I use the combat skill and she's gonna break the plate right here, or Reno's gonna break the plate and she's gonna do a follow-up attack and she's gonna get the ultimate. So it's about the same across all of the set when it comes to this particular rotation right here. And now her ult does 10,000 damage. So across all of the Uniparts, her damage is still about the same, I would say. She's doing about the same damage as Reno's ult, which is pretty insane. Okay, this actually might be the highest score that I'm gonna get because we might actually clear it. Yeah, we cleared it with 1 round less. So I think this might be a 300,000 run. Because keep in mind, she is providing more supports to my entire team. And especially when I'm running 3 DPS in the team. So we did get a new high score, 275,000 on the dot. To get 300,000, I would need to expose the core 1 extra time. And to do that, I think I would need to run another elemental typing unit. So yeah, those are all the tests. In my opinion, the best set that you can run on her is going to be this Wyvern type Unipart. If you want to get the DPS set, I would suggest you go for Spider type instead of the new armored type, because this Spider type not only gives you better turn 1 damage, it also gives you effect hit rate, which means you'll be able to land your debuffs more consistently. And again, keep in mind, the effect hit rate does scale up her damage as well, because one of her passive skill gives you more damage. This one right here increases this unit's damage dealt by an additional amount equals to 100% of effect hit rate, maximum 80%. And by running the Spider type Unipart, you will get the maximum amount of 80%, so you'll get the most amount of damage from her passive skill right here. But do keep in mind, this Spider type Unipart does fall off as opposed to the armor type Unipart once you can ult with your Kikoru more than twice. Although the damage difference is not that big from the testing. So I would say if you want to go for DPS type of Unipart, then go for the Spider type instead of the armor type. And for the support Unipart, the best for her is going to be the Wyvern type. Not only for the speed, but also the attack up that she gives to your entire ally. She will do less damage, but the less damage is offset by your entire team. And when it comes to the new Kikoru, she will never be your only DPS. You will always run a main DPS or maybe even 2 main DPS when you run the new Kikoru in your team, because she is not going to be your main DPS, right? She is a debuffer and a support when it comes to all of the debuffs that she provides. And the N-type Unipart is definitely 100% not worth it on her, because you don't break any breakpoints. You will still get the ultimate within 2 turns when you cast the combat skill in skill 1, or when you cast the combat skill and you break the plate on the boss and an ally follows up, or when she follows up. It's still going to be a 1 turn or 2 turn ult for her, regardless of whether you run the N-type or any other Unipart. So yeah, that's about it for the new Kikoru. I'm still gonna stand by and say she is a good unit, but I would say she is not gonna be your top priority list when it comes to summoning. It's still gonna be either Chester or Hoshina. I'm still leaning towards Chester because this banner is better than the Hoshina banner. Although Hoshina is the best DPS and nuker in the game, his banner is not the best, right? You don't get the free pull when you do summon for his banner. So when it comes to summoning priority, it's still going to be Chester, Hoshina, and then Kikoru, if you have some spare summons left. Let me know how your summons went, and also what set you're using on the new Kikoru. Is it working for you? And yeah, that's about it. Ciao.